first off, out of the gate, I think we should just kind of define inflammation for listeners. How would you define it pretty simply?
Yeah, inflammation is an immune response that's actually designed to help protect your body. See, our body is hardwired to protect us from dying from an infection. So, our ancestors, when, they would go out hunting, or let's
Hmm.
say they were in war or something like that, they would be attacked. They would have some sort of a flesh wound, and then bacteria could get into that flesh wound, into their bloodstream, and then spread throughout their body and get into their lungs, cause pneumonia, get into their nervous system, cause meningitis, and kill them. This is really the leading cause of death throughout the history of
Hmm.
mankind. Even when people were in war, they really they tended not to die like it was. They were more commonly were dying from a infection they got from a wound than the actual
Hmm.
wound itself.
Right.
And so the body is adapted to create this inflammatory response whenever you have an injury, right? And when we think about injuries, we think about, okay, a sprained ankle, let's say. What
Hmm.
happens? You end up with a lot of inflammation in that joint, and that inflammation is there to help protect against any pathogens getting in. It also helps break down damaged ligaments, tendons, different structures that are in there that are involved, and it's all part of the healing and remodeling process. And so, inflammation itself is actually very therapeutic, very healing, and it's designed to help keep you alive. The problem is that most people in our society now are dealing with chronic inflammation because their main injury is actually in their gut. It's in their digestive system. So the gut, when that becomes damaged, the body responds just like if we sprained an ankle or if we got a cut or a burn, it creates this inflammatory response. You just don't see it. So you don't actually see it. And oftentimes you don't even feel it, at least not in your gut. Like a lot of people are not feeling gut pain or even, just like a stabbing pain, even though the gut is damaged. But when that happens, when the gut becomes damaged, now proteins are seeping into the bloodstream, and the body says, okay, these are abnormal proteins, abnormal bacteria in here. Let's turn up inflammation throughout the body. So that person may experience eczema or some sort of skin inflammation, acne, rashes. Another person may experience joint pain. So when they have leaky gut and their body's ramping up inflammation, they notice it in their joints. Different joints are hurting. Another person may have a lot of brain fog and fatigue. So it can impact us in different ways. But in our society today, the inflammation is less so coming from like a physical injury and more so coming from injury in the gut.
100%. 100%. So kind of my simple kind of metaphor to understand inflammation is you have breakdown and build up. Catabolic, anabolic. Anabolic builds you up, catabolic breaks you down. You have things that are responsible for the breakdown, like cortisol, stress hormone, interleukin cytokines, right? Inflammation in general is a good thing. When you go to the exercise, when you go to the gym and you lift weights and you do push-ups, you're creating an inflammatory response in the pec area. But then you have this anabolic buildup of remodeling protein, so your chest gets stronger and bigger. But there's a healthy balance, right? And so what we're talking about here is the inflammation causing a little bit more of a breakdown than you're able to build up. And so over time, whether it's your brain, connective tissue, joints, cartilage, gut lining, all of this inflammation is causing the body to break down. And depending on where that tissue breaks down is where the symptoms occur. If it breaks down on the cartilage, arthritis. If it breaks down on the blood-brain barrier, brain fog, mood issues. If it breaks down on the gut, you can have more autoimmune issues. You could have digestive issues. If it breaks down, let's just say, in other tissues in the body, it could be MS or type 1
Mhm.
diabetes. And so, yeah, so depending on where the tissue is where conventional medicine puts that ICD 10 code. But we're looking deeper under the hood and we're trying to get to the underlying mechanism.